clearly the sugar apple is not very happy. Now this wouldn't be such an issue because I could count on it bouncing back, except for the fact that this week we're gonna be getting even colder here. Well, that's not good. We got some problems, you guys. Welcome back to Molnar's Garden. A couple nights ago, we had the weather drop below 40 degrees. It wasn't supposed to get down to 36, but it did. Clearly, the sugar apple is not very happy. Now, this wouldn't be such an issue as I could count on it bouncing back, except for the fact that this week we're gonna be getting even colder here in about 2 days. So I've been working like crazy trying to prep out the property. As you can see, some of the plants are already very cold damaged and not happy. So we've been working very hard to make sure that this is secure, which is what we're gonna talk about today, is everything we are doing to try and protect our plants during this massive cold front that's gonna be dropping us down to about 25 degrees at the coldest point from what it looks like so far. But first, let's feed the animals. You having fun with Pan? Cold? Watch out. Well, that's unfortunate. Not entirely sure what happened here because, I don't know, maybe it was the cold, but that's the 2 red-tailed catfish that we got. Those are the first fish I've seen die in the pond in quite a while. We haven't had any since the goldfish. All the koi, the ottos, and the goldfish that are left, along with the plecos, all seem to be doing good. So I'm not exactly sure what happened with the catfish. Maybe they're just not as cold sensitive as the rest of the stuff in the pond. Yeah, we're gonna have to go ahead and scoop them out and get rid of that. But aside from that, we did have rain come through and fill up the pond almost completely for what it can hold. It overfilled a little bit in these spots, and I did have to bucket some of it out because I haven't fixed the drain yet while I've been getting ready for cold front. But this pond being as full as it can be will help with all of this back here, hopefully to create a bit of a microclimate, and that's part of why we got the pond dug in now. I'm gonna go ahead and add some other stuff to this area. I'll grab those in a sec and talk about that in a minute. But first, let's get the catfish out. Oh, here we go with the little guys. Running up as I come up. This sucks. But what can you do? Go ahead, girls. Recycle them. She's gone with that one. All right, well, while they figure out what they want to do with it, let's move on to some of the other stuff, because like I said, this cold is moving in, and as you can see, we're already getting casualties. This is not going to be good. I got to do some prep work. So we'll jump on to what I was talking about with the pond, on how we're going to add some additional stuff to hopefully help, which is this right here. We got the kids' inflatable pool that's been folded up and left on the patio since it's too cold. So we're going to bring this out, fill it up. I'm gonna put it down in that area by the mango and sugar apple and hope that it'll help with the cold sensitivity for that area. Help create a bit more of that microclimate we want down there to keep that stuff warm. So let's fill that pool up real quick. Thinking this is about where this pool is going to go. The reason being is behind me we have that sugar apple, we got a mango over here to my right, and quite a bit of our avocados. I guess that was my left with the mango, right with my avocados. Now the mango, we are seeing it do a lot better than we saw with our mango that we had last year that died when our temperatures dropped down to 27. This is a Valkyrie mango, the other one was a Kerry mango. So this one being a little bit different variety, I don't know if it's going to be more cold tolerant. We're gonna find out. Now the thing is, I'm not sure if this pool idea is going to work. Like I said, I'm kind of thinking this might be like the pond where I can fill it up with water and that'll help create a bit of a microclimate. I don't know if this is gonna work, but if you think it's going to or not, leave us a comment down below to let us know what you think. You're gonna have to come back to find out in the next video when we do an update on how everything went to find out for sure, but let us know in the comments what you think is gonna happen. Now that I've got the pool all rinsed out, I'm just gonna set it on full, drop the hose in, come back later and check on it. As it fills up, we'll turn the hose off. Now, one thing I do wanna make a note of, if you're gonna try this at home, remember, we're dealing with it getting cold. So with that pool, it is filled by air. Anytime you got the cold, atoms like to compress and get closer together. You're gonna have the air pressure drop kind of significantly, especially with it getting into colder temperatures. So definitely you wanna overfill the pool with the air so that it stays intact. Otherwise, you're gonna have it spilling out a lot of the water that you wanted to have it in, and that just ruins everything. On to the next. So the next thing we got is here in the trunk of the Cadillac. We got it completely full with all different sizes of frost blanket, 8 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot. There's some other stuff in here as well. Now, this is part of why we're making today's video, is because when I was grabbing these over at Home Depot over the weekend, a bunch of people were standing around looking at the stuff, looking very much confused on what they should do. And so I had a bunch of people asking me, because I was just going in, grabbing handfuls of the stuff, throwing it into my cart and getting ready to walk out, what I'm doing and if this stuff even works. So there's a few caveats I want to say about these types of frost blankets right here. Do they work? Yes and no. Now, they are not going to work completely on their own. They are only going to take the temperature up a couple degrees, and that's kind of where you're going to run into issues. It's not foolproof. They will help by themselves, but they aren't going to do everything on their own. There's some other things you want to do on top of it, like adding mulch is always a big one. That's something I'm going to talk about in a second. The pond is another one that can help with microclimate. Different types of trees, bamboos, stuff like that. Really building that microclimate is going to help more than anything. The frost blankets are going to help in creating an artificial microclimate, but they're not going to do everything. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're getting the frost blankets, good call. Just don't expect it to do everything on its own. There's still more work you need to do, like all the stuff we're showing you here in this video. One of the nice things about this video is you get somebody like me who can tell you what not to do, like using plastic bags over your plants. This is one of the questions I had asked of me at Home Depot, and no, that is not a good idea. That is a sure way to kill your plant. The thing with plastic is it's gonna trap in all of that cold. The plant's not gonna be, or not the cold, the moisture, and the plant's not gonna be able to breathe. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna have all of that moisture that's gonna accumulate around the bag and then freeze. That bag is going to stick to the leaves of the plant. You're gonna kill your plant putting plastic around it. Don't do it, not even poking holes in it. Just, you're better off using something like a sheet, a towel, a blanket, or a frost cloth if you can. Now, if you only got frost cloth, you can wrap towels around the trunks of your trees like we're going to do. That's something else that we're gonna be doing. I'm not showing it in this video, but we're gonna be wrapping towels, blankets around some of the trees, like the palm trees up in this bed that are pretty small. I think they're gonna be okay. Like I said, we dropped down to 27 last year, and most of the palm trees came back. Some of the smaller ones we did have to replace at one point, but these palm trees, we're gonna go ahead and wrap the trunks of them with towels and blankets to try and give them a better shot. The hibiscus, we know, will die back to the ground. We'll cut them and they'll come back. Now, one thing you might notice if you've been watching our videos, the pile of mulch is all gone. All in all, I think that there was about 90 to 100 cubic yards of mulch in this spot over the last couple weeks that I've had to move around the property. Now, this is gonna be the biggest benefit to the plants because it's gonna prevent the ground from freezing or getting frosted nearly as much. The mulch, as it breaks down, creates a bit of warmth around the plants to help build that microclimate for them, and so they will fare much better. Now, everything back here is looking pretty sad, as you can tell, but it's had the mulch around it. So you can add it to it over the last couple of weeks when we had the night hit 37. You can imagine just how much worse it would have been had that not happened. Now, the nice thing is these papaya plants, as bad as they look, actually are doing much better up against the house than the ones we have down in the open field that still needs to be filled in. So they look a little sad. Worst case scenario from what we've noticed so far is if the papayas die, we just cut them back to the ground. And in spring, they come back looking like this. This one was one plant, one single stalk, died back during last year's cold front that came through and killed off a couple other plants. We cut it back to the ground and it came back as a double stalk this year. Looking pretty good. I'm hoping that this year, this one won't die back to the ground. As you can see, it's got thick layer of mulch over the top of it. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was about 80, 90, maybe even 100 cubic yards of mulch that we got in a span of a couple weeks. My back is killing me just moving that stuff around with nothing but a wheelbarrow and a pitchfork. It was a lot of work. So some of the other stuff that we're going to do to try and protect these plants is making sure that they have adequate water. The thing here is it's been raining a bit this week. I'm gonna keep watering until the cold front comes in, and then even a little bit throughout during the day. The reason for it is because the soil, if it's saturated with water, it will actually stay warmer. It'll have a harder time freezing. There won't be as much air in the pockets in the soil for that cold air to get trapped into and make the soil colder. At least that's my train of thought. I tried it last year a little bit and it seemed to work. Now the other nice thing is I do need to come through this wood line and clear it out come spring with all the undergrowth, and definitely make sure that I get planting into this area. And that's what we got the pig for, is to have her help me clear it out. But you might be able to tell this plant right here, this is a blue Java banana, along with every single banana in this bed. As you can tell, these ones are still much more vibrant green, being a little bit under the oak. The big one back there, that's brown from all the cold damage, is also a blue Java. So the growing them under the oak trees is really helping to create that kind of microclimate like I keep talking about that we want to build here on the property, since we do get cold occasionally. And you can see it being very evident with these blue Java bananas. I mean, this one back in here is in kind of a weird spot where it's a little bit more exposed to the cold, as you can tell with these leaves, but the ones further back on the plant are actually pretty vibrant and green like the rest of the plants as we move closer into the oak line. We aren't really going to be getting cold today. Tomorrow night is when the cold really comes in, so I'm not going to worry about getting the leaves all wet today. Tomorrow, I'm going to turn off the sprinklers and I'm going to hand water everything myself. Unfortunately, we don't have drip irrigation on yet, or even sprayers. So I'm working with different types of sprinkler heads and moving the hose around by hand at the moment when I have to. It's just kind of how it goes, but that's what we'll do, is keep saturating in the water. Hopefully everything will work. The nice thing is, unlike last year, last year we only had a couple months before it was winter, and there wasn't a whole lot that we'd gotten done to the property by the time the cold came in. This time we've already been on the property for a little over the year. We've had our friends like Pan and Chickens back there providing a lot of organic material to help build the organic material in the soil, so that it actually will be a bit warmer potentially than last year was. Because I mean, if I pull it down here, you can see, just basically we live on an anthill. I got a bunch of fire ants right here next to my hand and a bunch of sand. That's what our soil was when we moved onto the property. We're having to build it ourselves, and that's what all the wood chips are for, which is probably what you guys really want to see, I'm guessing, is how the property looks now that we've gotten all this insane amount of mulch dropped off. We were supposed to actually have more come in, and that's why some of the footage you're going to see isn't exactly complete. I'm just trying to make sure the plants are going to survive winter at this point, rather than making sure everything looks as nice as possible. But anyways, enough talking about that. Let's get you guys those shots you were looking for. How sick were those drone shots? First time getting that up on the channel. I'll have to play with it and get better at it, but I hope you guys enjoyed those. Leave this video a like if you did. Anyways, like I said, the mulch isn't perfect. It's not completely clean like I got here. You can see kind of the old mulch versus the new. And this will give you an idea on just how much of a difference old versus new. We got a good couple inches layered in here to try and keep these plants really warm. Hopefully everything that we're doing will end up combining all together to make things work. The way you can't just do one, like I said with the frost blankets. It's got to be everything in order for all the parts to work together, kind of like when you're modifying a car. Doing your exhaust doesn't really do much until you start doing like the intake, the throttle body, things like that. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to subscribe so that you can see what happens as we make it through the rest of this cold front. Molnar out.